Hi, I'm Tammy Ogren. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I don't take for granted at all the fact that you have plenty to do in your life, right? This is an hour that you could be doing other things with. So thanks for spending this time in this free webinar. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and my calling to really help women in the world do what I did, which is recognize that I have real value. You have value. You are unique. You're different than me. We interact in the world in a different way. We have core values that drive us differently. We have passions that really pique our interest in different ways. And we have skill sets, natural strengths, and talents that are different. And when I realized decades ago that I had unique talents and skills, I worked hard at trying to apply those at work in my job. And I think I did that pretty well, but it was never just enough to really um, fulfill what I would say is real meaning and real satisfaction and deep feeling in my soul that I was doing what I was called to do. I believe with all of my being that we each have unique purpose, that we are intentional, that we are different on purpose, and that we have a purpose in the world. I find it meaningful to fulfill that. And my work today is 90% the things that I love to do. I'm natural at them and I'm gifted at them. They're simple. It's easier. I'm not swimming upstream anymore. And yet I won't say this is not stressful. I won't say I don't work a lot, but what I do is work within those uniquenesses. And I've gotten really good at saying yes to the right things and no to the wrong things instead of some of that super mom complex that I had where I needed to say yes uh, all the time to and not necessarily to the right wrong saying yes not to the right things. So I will tell you in the next hour how I came along a journey and how I have developed a course that is to teach women and really connect with you if this is your path in a way that helps you not only find those areas of passions and values and skills and personality, how you interact in the world, and how to define a purpose, your purpose, but then to answer the question, now what? Because that's not enough. It's not enough just to know. I supported a family. I was building a career. I was a mother trying to build, grow, raise children with with confidence and intention about their uniqueness in the world. And I will share with you how I did that and try to help you do that in this journey of mine. um, it was not easy, but I have, as I look backwards, developed this process that I now get to share with you. I feel really called to do that. I taught 60 women this course last summer, and it was so fulfilling. They said things like, I realize I have meaning in my world. This was the most important thing I did in 2021. I've worked with women who had young children and who were starting their careers and building those careers. I've worked with women who were retired and trying to enter this new phase of their life to find meaning and say yes to the right things, not to just all the things. So I really look forward to working with you. I have great joy around this topic and believe that if you're looking for the same thing I was looking for, then maybe it's the right time for us to connect. So you can watch this free video. I really hope you get meaning out of it. If you want more, then click the link and join me in a 4-week course where we will really break those elements down, and I will help guide you through that process, and you'll have the opportunity to talk to me live once a week and see if I can help answer some questions for you or just give you some guidance in a way that I really didn't have when I was seeking this path. So enjoy the next hour. Thank you very much. Reach out to me and tell me your story if you want to share with me, or we can connect. I would love to do that. Thank you.
So I'm guessing that you have explored the idea of working with your strengths or finding your passion or finding happiness at work, or you wouldn't be here with me today. So this is some interesting facts that I found as I have thought about the idea of how many people in the world are really using their strengths at work and what's the impact of that. So Gallup says that people that use their strengths every day are 6 times as likely to be engaged on the job. And to be engaged means that you're motivated and you're kind of all in and you're in alignment with the organization. And that's a significant idea if I think about when I'm not using my strengths and the times in my life when I have kind of worked against the grain a little bit, and that the impact of that on my engagement and how I feel at work. That makes sense to me. As well, Nielsen says that over 50% of employees are unhappy at work. I certainly believe that. Employees who say that they're often burned out or feel burnout at work are more than 60% are more likely to be sick. Over 23% or 23% are more likely to visit the emergency room. Over 2.5 times as likely to leave their job, and 13% less confident in their performance. That's fairly impactful, and I can relate to all of those things if I think back at times in my life when I have not felt real fulfillment and alignment at work and feel burnout. You know, in the time of the pandemic that we're in, people are really rethinking their life path as well. Forbes says that this global event has helped people arrive at the conclusion that life's too short and shouldn't be wasted on a career in which they don't derive any internal intrinsic value, that deep down we know in our heart that we have to maximize our time here on earth and do something of substance and value. There's lots of articles out right now and research going on about the impact of this pandemic on our mindset. And mindset is really what I'm talking a lot about today, is this mindset that you have the ability to control your destination and change your path, that you don't have to stay where you're at or follow in what someone else says that you need to do, that you have choices. And that's really what I'm talking about, that idea today. So is that true for you? Maybe you want to create a life where you want to do more of the things that you love and you want to do something of value. That was a big driver for me. I knew of some of the things that I was good at doing, but I didn't have all the context that I have today, into which means how I applied those things that I was good at in different ways in the world to create value for me and value for others. I see a lot of that in the people that I talk with, and maybe you want to make a bigger impact in your work. What's missing for you? Think about that as we go through this next hour. What's missing in your life? The thing that working on our unique strengths and passions does is it gives us freedom. It gave me freedom and fulfillment and engaged energy and real happiness, and settled in to kind of, I think of it as kind of getting real comfortable in who I am and being able to work in that space of comfort, happiness, ease. I think we all crave that, but many people don't know how to achieve that. And here's the thing, you don't have to know what you want to do before you start that path to meaningful work. I've worked with people who didn't know what they wanted before they started. They just knew that something's missing. Some people just know they need something different and don't know what that is. Some of you have a hobby that you want to turn into a living and you don't see a way to make that work, or a way that you can really make money at that. Or fears about, will success with this thing that I love to do as a hobby turn it into burnout or rote work that I'm not enjoying anymore? Or can I really make money at doing this? That just seems elusive. Some people found the work that brought them connection, but didn't know it when they started the journey. Certainly, as we take one step forward, we learn more and more. And it is a journey. It's not a destination or a quick cure. But your path is unique to you based on your experiences, your talents, your skills, all the things that you've done in your life that make up who you are. That's unique to you. And I really want to share this with you because these pictures are representative of many of the amazing men and women that I have worked with over a decade, I'd say near 2 decades, that have really transformed their work into joyful, meaningful, easy existence in many industries, in many ways. As I talk to lots of people who are in this process of working within their strengths, I wonder why we don't see it more often. It's easier said than done, though, right? It was far easier for me to talk about it long before I actually did something that made transformational change for me. And I don't always believe it's because we don't know what we're good at. I think that there are certainly people and situations where we don't see what our unique strengths are, and we don't see what we're really good at. And we'll talk about that a lot in the course. But I also think that some of you know what you're good at, but don't think there's real value in that. I think our superpowers, if you will, the things we're really good at, are the things we do effortlessly, that we do them almost reflexively without breathing. Reflexively like breathing. It's way too easy for us to apply the things that we're good at into our work. We're raised in a culture, I believe, where hard work equals success. That if it's too easy, we question that it could really be valuable. And we almost, especially in some industries, almost tout how hard we work as this badge of honor. I'm going to read a quote that I love, love, love. And when I heard it, it resonated with me. This was a quote by Marianne Williamson, and Nelson Mandela quoted it in his '94 inaugural speech. She says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others." And that touched my soul when I read that the first time, and I really believe that to be true, and I've seen it prove out in my life, that I undervalued the things that I was really good at, and I worked really hard to identify my own voice and realize that I am unique, and it's important, and it's intentional, and you are unique, and you are intentional, and the things that you do really well, and the way that you think about information or make decisions or interact in the world are unique, and they're powerful. And that really, when we live in that space and we live in the freedom of being who we are meant to be, we really connect and allow other people to do the same thing. And I have seen that over and over in my life. I've also worked with people who are so frustrated, who dread going to work, who come home feeling hopeless or frustrated or drained or exhausted or just seeking something they can't put their finger on. Sometimes when I ask the question, then why don't we change? It's because we don't know how. And I get that. If you've been thinking about this for a long time, I want you to know this is the place to be for the right conversation, because this is about how to create a real work experience that delivers freedom to you. That's all we want, right? Isn't that what we all want? And while we have that freedom, we also want to make an impact on the world. I want to make an impact on the people that I'm around. You might want to make a big impact on the world, or a small impact, or an impact on the people around you and that you connect with, or maybe you just want to feel peace in your life. But you are in the right place if you are looking for that freedom, and to have the conversation in a place that's really encouraging, engaging, interactive, and safe. So here's what we're up to today. We've got 2 things we're going to really zone in on today. One is getting clear on the right mindset about your uniqueness so you can confidently get started on working and living in your passion and your strengths. The second is that I want to show you what you need to focus on to create a meaningful transformation that creates a life and income for your future, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. I can spend all day long doing things I love to do. That doesn't mean I can support myself or my family or make a living at it. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about through today and through the course. I've helped hundreds of people that are moving through their life with more direction, more intention, and look forward to sharing those stories with you today. I've created a course which I'll share with you today and at the end of the session. The biggest problem that people run into working in their passion is that they don't believe they can make money at doing what they love. I did it. I believe it's true. I know it's true. I've done it, and so can you. And I did it without any real guidance. So I'm going to share with you that it is possible, and many people do it very successfully. Creating a successful life, applying your strengths and talents, is all about doing what you know and getting paid to do it. We're going to talk about how to do that today. We've got a lot of ground to cover in this session today. So as you can tell, I'm going to go fast, and I'm going to go as far as I can in our time together. I'm going to walk you through how to get more clear about your strengths and what to think about that makes you unique. I know many of you have expressed interest in working with me to create a roadmap to new work and income, and you're ready to get it done. I'm going to talk about what that looks like for us to do that together at the end of the session today. I'm going to walk through the program and what it looks like to really dig deep into your unique traits, get really clear about your uniquenesses, your internal motivators, where you can make money applying those strengths and skills, how to be passionate about your work. What we're going to do today as we move through this experience is dive deep into what to think about now that you've decided to change your path to include work that brings fulfillment and meaning in your life. Because once you have that clarity, then you can move forward fast. So in our training today, I'm going to show you how to leave this pattern of frustration, exhaustion, stress as you seek to work and live in meaningful work. I'll share the exact path I used to accomplish that transition. I'll tell you about the last day I came home from work feeling that way. That was well over a decade ago, and on that day, I made a decision to transform my life. I, however, didn't have a process outlined. I didn't know what to do to make that change, and I'm going to share with you how to do that today. I have watched so many people that I've worked with do the same thing. I will share with you today how to get clarity regardless of your situation and give you a roadmap if you want to do it on your own. But before you give up or decide to stay in the status quo, if your dream is to do something different and be different in that seamless, passionate way of working, give yourself one more chance and stay with me as we go through this for a few more minutes. The most rewarding thing is that I've watched people just like you do the same thing. You know, have that moment of looking at the phone or the computer going, everything just changed. And so the first place I want to start is that you can do this. It's doable. You can control the outcomes of your life. The key is that we really have to get in and figure out how to value your expertise. And we'll walk through how to do that. So let's start here. You know, I want you to think about what's your biggest question about creating value from what you're really good at, your unique strengths, skills, and passions. Here's what we'll do with our time together today. So grab a pen. I'm going to walk you through the transformation system in less than an hour. I'm going to go as fast as I can through all 5 steps, which represent 5 weekly modules. And this is something you can implement right after we complete the call, and you'll generate a list of things to do and ways to use the tools that I'm going to give you at the end of this session. We'll dig really deep into step 2 in today, in fact. For those of you who would like to work directly with me and take specific action steps along a roadmap you create for living within your meaning and your passion while financially supporting your goals and dreams, I'm going to share this program that I'm starting at the end of the call today. So let me get started now. I'm going to really dig deep into 3 of the limiting beliefs I hear most frequently and how we'll address those in the course, because this is something you can implement right after we complete the webinar, honestly. Although I spent a lot of time chasing paths, if you're wanting to do this on your own, stick around. You'll get great tips, and I'll send you a download outline of the model at the end of the call. For those of you who would like to work directly with me, then at the end of this at the end of this hour, sorry, I will tell you how to join that program. So let's get started. The first thing I want to start with is when you think about your life and freedom, working with ease in your unique strengths, experiencing passion and energy in your work, I want you to think about how this is going to change your life. Right now, I'm going to go quickly through this because I want you to see that how changing your life makes impact when you understand your uniqueness. So imagine this, if we're sitting here a year from now talking, what had to have happened for you to feel great about progress toward creating inner peace and satisfaction with yourself in your situation? You know why you joined this webinar. You only know what brought you to this place to have a conversation around how to transform your work into meaningfulness instead of just go find another job or stay in your status quo. But what happens a year from now if we were sitting here? Will you be in the same situation or will you have made changes? I told you how tired I was of hearing myself talk about the same thing over and over, complain about the same thing. Can you relate to that? 3 months after I changed my path, I realized I no longer had a headache. 3 months after I changed my path, I realized I no longer had a headache every day. I had lived with a daily headache for so long that I didn't even realize I had one. I didn't realize how my situation was affecting me mentally, emotionally, and physically. How do you feel right now? Tension, worry, angst, pain, just unease? You have power. You have the control to change your future so it looks different and you can feel different. Here's how you can quickly and easily transform your destination. The first place we'll start in my program is embracing our uniqueness. Here's what we'll do with our time together. I'm going to walk you through these 5 steps. And these we'll start with number 1. The first thing people believe about themselves is, I'm not that special. I'm not really that different from anyone else. I don't believe that I'm unique. Most of my life, I didn't believe I was special either, to be honest. So I get that. I totally understand the idea that I'm just normal. I am what I am, but I'm not. But that does not equate to being special, especially when we spend our time thinking about our weaknesses. And I think today we frequently think more about our weaknesses than our strengths. I had a real aha moment one time in the idea of this idea that I'm not that special. I was leading a marketing team, and I was about to take 2 groups that had kind of formed together to be a marketing team that didn't always get along so well, and they had very different goals and intentions, and my effort was going to be to bring them to this high-performing, unified group going in one direction. We also were coming up on a year where we had big goals, big milestones, and they didn't know that yet. And I needed them to be really stretched in the next year for creativity and innovation and getting a lot of things done that were going to push them out of their comfort zone. So I felt that the best way to do that was to take them out of town. I took them to the lake for a 3-day retreat. We were going to do a combination of team building, getting to know each other, kind of getting trust and collaboration, foundations kind of built, and creating an action plan for the next year with goals and milestones. I felt good about all of that. I felt really comfortable doing that and leading them. I had worked with them in some way or another for a long time, and I felt really confident about that. But what I was not, what I couldn't really get was how to send us off from the office to this 3-day retreat. I wanted them to kind of experience some send-off in this powerful, motivating, energizing way. And I didn't feel like I was that kind of raw type of gal. I don't jump up and down. I don't tend to just get all this high energy going. So I felt really insecure about that. So I asked somebody that I worked with to come in and talk to them for 5 minutes. I kind of gave him the talking points, the reasons we were going and what I wanted from him, and to help me just get them energized, because he was really good at motivating and energizing people. So we gathered together, and I felt like I was watching a car wreck about to happen, and I couldn't stop it, and I felt powerless in that very short 4 or 5 minutes sitting in that conference room in our t-shirts and shorts and flip-flops, getting ready to leave. Yeah, he was motivated by different things than I was motivated by. And although he may address the issues that I wanted, his motivating drivers were showing up in the conversation in a way that was not at all hitting the mark. And so I walked out of that place, and everyone walked out of there feeling a little dumbfounded and insecure, maybe. I spent the next 3 days convincing them they weren't going to lose their job and that I really needed them to be innovative and creative and all those things that I just said that we were trying to accomplish. But it kind of scared them. And I remember as we walked out, pushing the big glass doors open to go get in my car and leave. I remember this light bulb moment of thinking, on my worst day, I could have done better than that. At my worst, I could have been more energizing and motivating than that. And on the drive to the lake that day, we had about a 2-hour drive, I thought a lot about what just happened and why did I get us to this place? And I got us there because I didn't feel unique enough. I didn't recognize my own strengths enough to have my own voice in the moment that I really needed to have my own voice. And it was a moment that was life-changing for me because I led this team with motivation and energy. It wasn't what I emulated from someone else. That was a whole different kind of energizing, motivating method, but it was right for me. And my team had connected with that. I had connected to them. We had high trust and loyalty, and I blew it because I didn't listen. I didn't allow my own voice, my own self, my own personality and drivers and motivators to come out. And that really changed my life. I embraced and worked really hard at embracing who I am, what my core values are, and to live in that space with more strength. Let me tell you another story about someone I met. Her name was Nia, and she was a 20-something year old person who was an international student of mine, and she felt like the world kind of set her up with all these obstacles of going out and making a difference. She felt, and she said this very clearly, that she held 4 obstacles against her strikes against her was actually the terminology she used before she ever went out into the world. She felt like she was a lesbian, and she was Black, and she was international, and she was a woman. And I was stunned to hear her talk at a fairly young age, really, in the grand scheme of your life, to have this formidable expectation that you have so much against you before you ever even get the opportunity to connect in the world around you. And so as she and I connected, we had real conversation about the idea that who we are is meaningful, that she didn't know anything really about me. I was an instructor. I was a faculty person for her. I was an academic advisor. I was Dr. Ogren. I had a long history. She knew my bio. I had a history of owning and selling businesses and leading organization as chief operating officer, and I had my PhD, and she saw me as this place that I was in this heartbeat, in this moment. And as I shared with her a little bit of my backstory and said, you really don't know anything about me, but I grew up in a really low income situation with a single mother, and I stood in the free lunch line at school, mortified I was in the free lunch line once I realized what that meant. And my dad left when I was 1, and I have seen abuse in my home, and nobody helped me as I went out of high school as a really pretty strong student. Nobody helped me know what my path options were. Nobody helped me realize that between income and grades, I could have gone to any school in the country that I chose to go to college, and no one helped me know any of that. I took a few classes at community college, and I worked at my high school kind of work school job, and my life progressed because of choices I made along the way. And as I connected with her about us emulating other people without recognizing that who we are is valuable, it was very eye-opening to her. She said a couple things to me. I recognize that my language and how is important, because the words I say are reflective of what I think, and then what I think is what I do. And that cycle of self-talk and belief can stop us, or it can give us power if we allow it. And I said, Nia, you will connect with people in the world that I could never connect with because of who you are, because of those 4 attributes that I think of as attributes that lend to your power. If you use them in that way, and you embrace that uniqueness about you and who you are, you can be powerful in a way that I can never connect to those people in the same way. And that's an example of how I really believe our uniqueness is intentional. And I believe that what is right for me, my voice is, when I say my voice, it's everything that comes together to make up who I am, is powerful and intentional and important. And there's a place for you in the world, that you, as you leave today and think about your soul fulfillment, what really drives you and who are you, what is your voice? What are you? What's your meaning in the world? What fulfills your soul and helps you be unique? But know that your voice is real. It's right for you, and it's intentional. I don't believe it's an accident. The way that you connect with people, the way that you're skilled and passionate, is unique to you, and there's a place in the world for it. It's not an accident, and it can bring value to you, and that's exactly what this course is about. The second limiting belief that people talk about to me is regarding their ability to make money doing what they're really good at. I like doing something, but I don't know how to make money at it. It might be a hobby, but I don't see it as a career, or I don't see how it would be possible to make money at this thing, but and I don't know anyone else that does, or I see that a lot of other people do, and I'm not sure there's space for me in that market. What's fascinating, if you think about it, is the reality that you're already providing value to someone because of who you are. The value might not be money. It might be, but it might be something else. But there are also people in the world paying for value you can bring to them. They're paying someone else. I'll take you through one of the steps we go through. This is a process to find where you provide value, and I'll help you find more avenues for that. I've coached a lot of people about business ideas and startups over the years, and in addition to creating business strategy and business plans, marketing efforts, analyzing their market, or looking at their products, I always work with them on aligning their life to their business vision and vice versa. Because especially when you're an entrepreneur, you want to do something that is kind of your own business idea. You can't just quit when the business takes over your life and you're not in alignment. So it's really important to make sure that your personal values and style drive the business as well. So let me tell you about Erin. Erin is an artist who I worked with, who wasn't sure that she could turn this love of art, and she was really good at it, really creative and innovative, but didn't see how she could really turn that into something that was a sustainable living. She could sell a few pieces, and she had sold a few pieces, but she didn't see how to make that bigger than that. And she really wanted to, but was not seeing it. So she shared with me a couple of beliefs as we sat down together. She couldn't quite see how to learn a living. Making what she wanted to do was consignment and real creative pieces for, commissional pieces for people. But she didn't know how to make a living, didn't see how to make a living at that from the amount of work it took to get it commissioned. project. And two, she didn't want to ruin her her love of turning this hobby into this boring routine business. She didn't want to I see sometimes artists feel like they almost will bastardize their creative soul in order to sell this thing that they've created from their own kind of vision and person. And she didn't want to make the same thing over and over. That was a third issue she had. She didn't want to just make the same thing over and over. So we sat down and we worked on it from a couple of different angles, and that will be a part of one of the modules that we work on in this course. But I said, well, let's start with what do you have to live on. So we did a very basic budget and the kind of minimum she could handle living on, and then we did this. Well, what if you really want to live in a financial space that makes you feel really good about that? What's that look like? So we did these two budgets, and then we said, okay, so if you sold these routine pieces that people keep asking you for, because she was kind of getting some interest in them and was getting a little tired of making them. I said, well, how many of those would you have to make this worst case budget, like your minimum situation? So we kind of did some playing around and say, ballparked it and said, can you make your rent by making those pieces or a couple different pieces, or what do you have to do to make this, really work? And then do you have time left to do these commissioned, to seek commission work and do that kind of creative work? She ended up walking away, giving it a shot. And now, years later, she has turned her life into this business of providing art. And she's even taken that routine object. It was a mug. She was a potter, by the way. She took that routine mug that she was making over and over, and now she takes special orders. So she creates personalized images and words and makes them very personal color, and has this format for making them unique in a way that allows her creativeness, but that to really kind of pay the rent, if you will, do the base financial needs she needs to do, and then she can do this other cool stuff in her, and she's figured out a way to make that work and to do other things that help connect to her kind of core values, like having women from a halfway house come in and do pottery through a therapeutic program that they're in. So she's been very successful in several ways, making a lifestyle that she loves, living where she wants to live, selling items that she can embrace in a way that connects to her core values, her personality, and her strengths. She's been really fun to watch as her business has grown over the years. But she started seeing the path, and where she ended on the path was not where she started the day she drove away. She drove away thinking, I think I can make this work, and I can allow some flexibility and freedom in that, and figured out how to get someone else to pay her for those things that she was seeing. My personal goal is to spend 90% of my work life doing the things I love to do, and 10% on doing the other stuff that I'm not really loving or I just don't really want to do. That's my goal, and it didn't happen overnight, but it happened pretty quickly because I was very intentional on figuring out how to do that. But I'm doing that today. I live in a way that I really enjoy. I'm pickier about the things I choose to do for work, and I choose more wisely the things that I really love to do and that connect with my kind of soul and who I am. The things that I'm good at and that I want to do are the things that I do, and that drives my passion and connects with my core values. In Module 5, we'll go through a method of identifying those places of value, what you need in order to create real value going forward. We'll work on this tactical path with resources I'll give you and a tool to kind of fill in the blank to find those opportunities and possibilities. You can make money doing what you're good at and love to do. Someone is paying someone else for that skill, and it could be you. It should be you. So the third belief people have is this one. I have too many obligations to selfishly make a life change at this point. It's selfish. It's dangerous to just quit my job and go do something else that I want to do. I have busy kids, I have mortgages, or I've built a life with a certain trajectory. These obligations and financial obligations can't be ignored. I completely relate to this. The day that I drove away from that February meeting that weekend, I spent thinking, oh my goodness, I can't just keep coming home feeling this way. But what am I doing
But man, this was tough. This was a real struggle for me because my mindset was that I'm afraid to even think about what I could do differently because of what I have created that I need to support. I was the major breadwinner in my family. I had a super mom syndrome going on. I was not willing to make my family suffer financially for me to change paths. I knew this job. I knew this career field. I knew this industry. I had been successful. So part of me just wanted to shut the door on what I was thinking. I'm not going to drag everyone through this. And that was a real struggle for me. Because that's just what my reality was. So in Module 5, we're going to talk about the possibilities, the roadblocks, and the obstacles. That's when we start talking about how do you take your unique person into your life and career and make a difference financially and in the work that you do from a meaningful standpoint. It's difficult for people to dream because these obligations are in the way. We can't just start with the obligation because that's what shuts us down from really being free to explore our destiny and our possibilities. When we start with what we have to do, we don't have space in the bucket for the things we want to do because they're so overwhelming, and it's scary, and it can feel overwhelming, right? What is fascinating to me is what I just did naturally that week. I don't know why I did it, but it worked, and it's what I've incorporated into conversations with all the people that I've worked with, and I say this over and over again. It wasn't my natural tendency to set obligations and responsibilities aside, even long enough for me to think about what I wanted. In Module 1, we'll talk about freeing your mind to the possibilities. We'll get really clear about those things we can't let go of. We'll fill out a worksheet, some templates, use a tool, write them all down, answer questions about them, and then we'll set them aside for the moment. I happen to have put my list in a drawer and shut the drawer. It was a kind of a metaphor for sit over here. I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to visit you. But right now, I need to think differently. I'm not irresponsible. I'm not going to drop the ball on my family or my responsibilities, but I'm going to sit them over here for now. Because until I did that, I wasn't free to envision the life I wanted, the life I'm really meant to live. And I think that I see that over and over with people. They're not even allowing themselves to open their ideas, their mind to the ideas of what they could do because of all the things they have to do. And then in Module 5, we're going to come back and we'll revisit that list. We'll come back over here and we'll say, okay, all right. So here's who I am. Here's what my passions and strengths. And I've created a unique purpose statement now that really is concise and identifies who I am and what my voice and my mission in life is and where I'm best at. And then we'll take this list of things and we'll kind of marry them up and we'll say, okay, so let's start kind of picking and choosing and how does money play into this and the contribution I need to make to my family. And I don't really want to live personally. I didn't want to live in a worst case budget. I had a plan, and I ended up with a plan that was more financially than that. But I've converted the things that I did in that process into tools and templates, video lessons and worksheets for you, so you leave with very tangible, actionable results. So you can see it's easy to implement in the idea that I've given you a path and I've given you a step-by-step process and I bring you along the journey and how quickly you can get amazing results when you actually have a roadmap. Then in Module 5, we'll explore careers. We'll explore work options through resources I provide. Honestly, I struggled to see what my options were. I knew I wanted to do something different, and I knew I started out on the path to identify what I was good at and my strengths. But I'd been in one place for a really long time. I talked with people that knew me from all walks of life, and those conversations led me to ultimately to teaching a college course and doing consulting projects. I fell in love with teaching immediately, and I never ever saw that in my future. I did some consulting projects I really loved and some that were really rough to get through, but it led me to realizing the work that I wanted to do that fit my personality, that aligned to my core values, that brought me passion and energy, and I applied my strengths and skills. And I started picking and choosing. And when I allowed myself the freedom to dream first, opportunities then opened up. I've done things in my life and my career that I never saw in my future. What's interesting, and I want you to remember this, they were always there. Those opportunities were always there. I just didn't know how to really look for them. So we're going to walk through how to identify the core values in your life and why in week 2. We focus on your internal drivers and motivators. By understanding those core values, you understand what's really important at your core, and you will recognize why you feel unsettled or misaligned. This is the key to why we feel unease in situations most frequently. So what I want you to know now is that you don't have to know what you want to get started. I didn't know what I wanted. Vision was elusive. I couldn't figure out what I was passionate about. And that's exactly why I tracked my path and developed this course for you. So you can walk the path with a proven method that works. So again, your download is coming to you, so you'll be able to continue that process. I've been leading this program for over a decade and worked with hundreds of people to transform their destiny to align to their unique self. People that I've worked with come from all industries, all cultures, all niches, all ages, all genders. So now I want to introduce you to the 5 weeks in my Meaningful Work Transformation Bootcamp. We go deep into how to put this into action with all the tools, checklists, templates, all the work, and the resources you need to go fast. I'm about to walk you through all of that content and resources included in this program. If you're planning on trying to do this on your own, you're welcome to stay with me. You'll find value in seeing what you'll need to create to implement on your own. So let's get started. Because it's not just about being self-aware, it's about how you do what you do with that information and knowledge and how you set yourself up for success. That's what we're going to do together. So at a glance, this is what this experience is all about. We have 5 weekly modules. Each are video-based modules that are coming to you. They'll be released each week. Plus, we have live Q&A calls 1 time a month, and I'll talk a bit more about what that looks like in a minute. We have a private Facebook group that comes together, and you have lifetime access to that group where people are coming in, sharing ideas, getting accountability partners, growing together. If you choose, that's available to you. Not everyone wants to access that, but many do. You'll have templates and tools, everything you need. I get the question a lot, if I can move at my own pace. Yes, you can. Absolutely. And if you have a question along the way, I'll give you feedback. I will answer everyone's questions on the live Q&A calls. So all you have to do is send them to me, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. Everything I'm about to share with you can be found at the link on the button that you see on the screen. So all the information about the program is there. You can see I'm going to walk you through now that same information so you can see everything involved in the course. For those of you that want to work directly with me in this process, I'll kind of show you step by step how it works. So the first thing we'll do in Module 1 is to identify those obstacles and achieve a mindset of growth without roadblocks. Then we'll talk about personality. I'll give you a personality assessment tool with lots of resources to connect and to really understand yourself. Where do you work best? When do you work best? How do you best connect with other people? How do you interact with the world? The biggest mistake that I see people make is only to use their own self-knowledge and not to use any kind of assessment or tool, because those really give us an unbiased view of ourselves, proven by research. So within Module 1, you'll actually receive a full assessment report from me that includes information on how you naturally may work, the things that identify how you identify things that are strengths for you and how you struggle, where you have stress, how you deal with conflict, etc. And then we'll move on to module 2, where we'll talk about core values, and I'll talk about those internal drivers that I spoke about, understanding how they are work within your life. What are they? How they show up? Because some of you might be really clear about your values, but some have never really thought about it before. Some have a perception of what our values are based on what we've been told by influential people in our lives. They change over time and they're personal. And I will give you a process to work through identifying not only what your core values are, but to kind of test yourself and see how they show up in your life by decisions you make or actions you take, and what the triggers are that you experience in your life. Based on your values, and how when somebody disrespects a value, there's this rub that we feel. So I'll walk you through that process so you can articulate and get really, really clear about your drivers and what motivates you for future decisions to be in alignment. In module 3, we'll go on and we'll talk about our passions. What are your passions, your strengths, your skills? How are they different? What are those 3 things? We'll identify the sweet spot, how they kind of overlap, and identify the sweet spot of areas where they overlapped, and you're able to see the things that connect in all 3 areas for you. I'll give you tools. I'll give you some fun tools in this module, as well as some kind of deep, thoughtful templates to work through. This tends to be really eye-opening for people. I hear things like, I never thought about that because X, and remember that I never thought about, I couldn't identify what my passions were. So, but I sure know what they are now. So this module will help you identify those areas. In module 4, we bring it all together. We'll use a funnel to filter down all this information that you've gathered about yourself and look at how they all come together into a unique purpose statement. Because when we can bring it into a concise statement, then we can articulate it to others. And then in module 5, we'll talk about the career and roadmap. How can you make money doing the things that you're great at? I'll give you some tools and resources around how to make money at those things. I'll provide resources to explore ideas of career types that you might not have thought of. You'll also get a real benefit from these takeaway tools in your life. They're very actionable. So that's the path we'll go through in the course modules. The downloadable roadmap will be delivered today to you through the email that you provided. And because I really want to equip you with everything you need to be successful, I'm including today bonus tools on how to overcome fear of change. 3 tools. One is a tool to help you overcome the fear of change, to leverage the power of your unique purpose. Remember that phrase that changed my mindset? What would you do if you weren't afraid? This model is built around that idea that you will identify obstacles and recognize common fears that people have, some of which we've talked about today and more. For the first 50 people that register, I'll provide you the 5-step revenue planner. This downloadable planner is a tool developed to aid in simple budgeting. The simple template focuses you on how to identify the revenue that you need in order to meet the obligations you have, from worst case, minimalist, and best case scenarios. And then for the first 25 that register, I'll provide one live group Q&A call with me one time during the course. That's a monthly call. You'll be able to ask me questions directly and get insights into questions that you have as you work through this 5-week course. Here's a recap of what's included in all the modules and weekly releases that I've just talked about. The 5 weekly modules, over a dozen worksheets, tools, and templates to make your transformation easier. Your bonus module on overcoming fear of change, your 5-step revenue planner, live Q&A call to get feedback and personal questions answered, and lifetime access to the private Facebook group. So come along with me on this journey. If you want to work with me for the next 5 weeks, stop the status quo and transform your life, go to the link provided and you'll see payment options, registration. After that, you'll immediately receive an email from me with login instructions to the course. We've spent about an hour together. I appreciate you giving me that time. Hopefully you've gained something today. My real hope is that you walk away today with knowledge and awareness and eye-opening experience. Watch for that downloadable roadmap that will help you along the path if you decide to work on your own. And if you decide to work with me, I look so forward to connecting with you soon. Thank you, and you have a great day.